Episode. Here we go. Take 5.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Jason Troth.
And my name is Michael Meagle. And this is the Sprinkler Repair Pros podcast.
This is our first episode. We are as grassroots as you could possibly be right now. We're in a conference room where we have one of our office spaces. And our goal is to let you know a little bit about ourselves in this first episode, tell you what our goal is, discuss our plans for the future, and take this thing as far as we can go. So we're going to start. Mike, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I've known Mike my whole life. He's one of my best friends. He brings a lot to the table. I brought him into my business. This is the second time we've worked together. But tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your business experience, maybe a little bit about your personal life, and what you bring to the table.
Perfect. Thanks, Jason. So Jason brought me on this go around, second time, as the Director of Operations. So I'm here to help him do a little bit of everything, help with the everyday running of the business. If you've never run a small business before, it takes an Army to do so. Speaking of the Army, I was also in the military, 19 and 20 years old, was in the engineering unit. From there, I worked for my parents in a small business, but I've kind of always been around small businesses my whole life. I'm a father of 2 children, love my children, and again, I'm here today to work with one of my best friends, someone that's taught me a lot along the way and always kept it straight with me. Jason, thank you for the intro again, and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Alrighty, my name is Jason Troth. I'm a father of 2. I have a 5-month-old son and an almost 9-year-old daughter. I'm happily married to a woman that I met in high school, Nina. She's an accountant. She's a graduate of U of H Bauer School of Business, so she brings a lot to the table as well. I'm sure we'll have her on one of these podcasts one day. I started my business in 2009, started off as JDT Lawn Care. I was basically doing anything and everything I could to make a dollar, mowing yards, doing landscaping, mulch jobs, small tree trimming jobs, anything and everything I could inside of the industry, going for the cheapest price. If someone said they had a guy that would do a job for $200, I'd do it for $190. So I've learned a lot along the way. Halfway through our business, we've been in business for about 15 years now. About halfway through, I got licensed as a licensed irrigator in the state of Texas in order to help procure large construction install projects where you had to be a licensed irrigator to do the install portion, and that kind of a package deal, landscaping, irrigation, all in one. So that was my first opportunity to get my feet wet in the irrigation industry. We did huge install jobs following plans that were designed by architects. And from there, it just kind of morphed a little bit into where we are today, where we only provide sprinkler system repairs. So changed the name of our business in February of last year to Sprinkler Repair Professionals, and been running with it ever since. So, I think I've got a very unique perspective. I've been in this business for a long time. I've had a lot of failures, more so than I can count. I mean, I have been unsuccessful in every aspect of this business: operations, hiring, firing, management, financial, taxes, sales tax. I mean, any of these items, I've gotten my ass kicked in, and I've learned every step of the way. So I think Mike and I both bring a very unique experience. Mike, tell our viewers a little bit about your business experience and kind of what you bring to the table from a standpoint of operations and running a business from day to day.
So my experience is I ran a small coffee shop. We transitioned to a bar for about 5 years, Jason, and like you said, I failed in every aspect, and to a point where I taught myself what I didn't want to do. I transitioned my whole life now to understand what it is that brings me joy and passion and drive, and I think I found that with one of my best friends here, just seeing his experiences, pairing them with my experience, and seeing that if you work as a team on these small things and you have the right mindset, that you can really accomplish the bigger goal. And when I say the bigger goal for everybody is different. So I don't want to go there, but my personal bigger goal is to just be able to be a part of something greater than I, right? And be able to build something and teach and learn and share those experiences, because I believe this podcast is also a passion of mine. Without even saying that, I mean that people are going to gravitate towards this stuff, and we want you to gravitate towards this. So if this is something that maybe you're sitting back wondering how to do, again, we're working off of a tripod with an iPhone. We have no microphones. We're sitting in a conference room. We want you to grow with us. We want you to ask questions. We want you to send us feedback on this, and we want to be the grassroots guys. Yes, we are the sprinkler repair guys, but the grassroots guys. And Jason, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Awesome. Absolutely. So just like any business, just like any venture, any relationship, you start from the bottom, and it's all about getting familiar with the process. Our goal here is to figure out how a real podcast should work. At the same time, as we're doing that, we're trying to figure out how we can become better as business owners, as fathers, as men, as people serving the community. So our whole goal here, the goal of this podcast, the goal of the Sprinkler Repair Pros podcast, is for us to network with industry experts, network with other business owners, other operations people in other businesses, sales guys, anything you could think of. If you have a unique perspective that you think you want to bring to this podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Yes, the name of this podcast is the Sprinkler Repair Pros Podcast. However, I think more than anything, this is a business podcast, and this is a self-growth podcast. It's all about growing and getting better. So as we bring in new people, our goal is to bring their experiences into ours and help make each other better. So I'm in a networking group called Entrepreneurs Organization Houston. One of the biggest things they talk about is, they call it experience sharing. So we're not here to give you advice. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're simply here to give our experience and hope that you can learn from that. And at the same time too, we're asking for your experience. So I want to make sure that everybody understands here, our goal is not to say how we're better than anybody else. I don't believe that we're the best sprinkler system repair company out there. However, I do believe that we provide one of the best experiences for our employees, our team members, and the customers. So
100%.
as a business owner, like I mentioned previously, I've failed in every aspect. I've lost money year after year after year. I've lost friends. I've lost employees. I've neglected family and my kids for this business. And every step of the way, I learned something new. So my goal is to get better, to be more present, more, to live more in the moment, to be there for my family more, be there for my friends more, and just create an environment where everyone around me enjoys their life as well too. So the goal is for this podcast is to create an environment, a community of like-minded people that come together and share our stories and share our experiences for the greater good of the community.
Yeah, man, let me just tap in on that a little bit more. If you're, anywhere around the world, I mean, that's what's the beauty of technology, right? I mean, if you're in Singapore, Australia, or you're in Dubai, or you're, outside of Houston, right? That's what this thing is good, man. We can hear from you, and even how businesses run there, right? We have no clue. All we know is American business, right, Jason? I mean, we don't really know too much about how things run in other countries even. So, if you're in the community of business owners, of entrepreneurs, not just irrigators. If you do have some insight on irrigation, we'd love to connect with you as well. If you're thinking about starting a business, we'd love to engage with you. If you have questions for us, and we'd love to offer some insight on if you're thinking about doing something, not just a podcast, or even if you're a pro podcaster, we'd love to hear how we can get better, how we can get our settings better, or our lighting better, or what have you. If you want to be involved with our podcast and help us get better, even Jason, I think that would be even something that we'd want to hear from. Don't feel free to ask us whatever you would like. We're human beings. We'd like to be as vulnerable as possible, right? And I think we've learned that over time with our strong personalities, that being vulnerable is actually better than being this strong-willed, cubby go-getter all the time, right? You got to be able to dumb it down a little bit and be a student, right? Always be a student, always be learning.
Exactly. We may be experts in the irrigation sprinkler repair industry, but when it comes to podcasting, we're definitely rookies. We're playing T-ball right now. You know what I mean? We're in Pop Warner. We're just trying to learn the plays. We're trying to learn the fundamentals, learn the footwork.
Right.
Learn how to feel the ground ball. What exactly are we trying to do here? So every little bit helps. I think both Mike and I, are able to kind of freestyle here, if you will, to touch on our roots in high school, freestyling the mixtapes. But in Mike's computer room at his house. But the goal here is just to connect with other people in the community and to meet new friends. I have a really good buddy named Jeremy Jensen. He runs a company called Encore Search Partners. Jeremy's nickname is the GOAT. He's incredible. He's a marketing genius. But one of the things he said on his podcast is his goal is to bring people on that he respects, that he looks up to, and to grow his network. So our goal here is not to sell you anything. We're not trying to get you to hire us. We're just simply trying to meet new people, grow our friend group, grow our followers into a community that we can rely on, that can rely on us for information sharing. So that's the biggest goal here.
Cool, man. I agree, Jason. We want to, yes, we're going to talk about things in the industry, in the sprinkler industry, of course. We'll talk about different brands, different, ways that we approach business, how we go about it and stuff like that. But I do believe that we should bring, our networks between us too. I didn't even touch on, I worked in the music industry as well. So, just those experiences I can bring to the table, and those people we can interview. And, going back to, what you said, I believe that everybody has a story to tell, and everybody's story is important.
Absolutely.
And no matter who you are, where you started, how you came up, if it was handed to you, it was given to you, if you acquired it, if you worked hard from it, I want to hear it, man. I want to hear it. It inspires me every day to be a better person, to be a better father, and just teach my kids the core values of what it really means to be a good person. And hopefully we can engage with some of you. Hopefully you'll reach out to us, and we can talk soon.
One of the biggest things I think that we can portray here and that we can get across to everybody is that, failure in business, failure in life, relationships, whatever the case may be, failure is not negative. It is just a stepping stone to get you to the next position, the next place. Mike and I were talking about this the other day, that every time you solve a problem, every time you face an obstacle and you cross that obstacle, you're just hit with another obstacle. So I think having a mindset, the proper mindset in business, in life, in relationships is incredibly important. And always knowing that just because you get hit in the face doesn't mean that you can't get back up and continue fighting, right? So in business, I can only share from my own experiences. Like I said earlier in this introduction here, I failed at literally every aspect of my business. I'm 15 years in. I started in 2009. I was still in college. I have a college degree. I say that I don't use it, but I pretty much do every single day, right? Just being accountable and being a good boss. But I was probably a horrible boss when I first started my business. I'm sure that I wouldn't have worked for myself. I can guarantee that I wouldn't have worked for myself.
He's
Mike
right.
did work for me for a short period of time, and it didn't work out. He moved on to bigger and better things, and he learned a lot that he could bring back to the table. But I've had many of my friends work for me in the past. A lot too many guys that I can name, and I've loved every single one of those guys. And some of the relationships I have with my friends are broken and may never get back. Some of them are still good, but I think my biggest thing is that I'm always trying to get better. And just because I say I'm trying to get better doesn't mean that I'm in a better place than anybody else out there. I just simply, I have this saying that I like to say: I only like to get my ass kicked by the same thing one time, whether it be taxes. Okay, 5, 6, 7 years ago, ended up with a huge tax bill. What's my plan moving forward? Don't want to lose that battle again. The comptroller was sales tax. At one point in time, I didn't even know sales tax existed in the landscape and irrigation industry. My Uncle Frank even made a comment to me. I gave him a quote for trimming his tree, and he said, "Jason, the other company that gave me a quote added sales tax onto this quote." And I said, "Oh, there's no sales tax in landscaping," because I was too cool and I didn't want to go out there and find out the own info for myself. What do you know, 3 or 4 years down the road, we get hit with a sales tax audit from the comptroller and owed a bunch of money. We pay our sales tax every single month now. I'm never going to let that happen again. Hiring, firing, documenting everything with employees. The way I treat my employees, the way I treat my spouse, my wife Nina. We've had our business relationship has been rocky over the years, simply because I didn't know how to approach her. She came from corporate oil and gas and working as part of a team. Everybody has their own role. You stick to your role, I stick to my role. I found myself early on trying to interject and do her job, and getting upset at her for things that were my fault and not her fault. So, that's a very unique perspective that I think a lot of small business owners do have, is working with your spouse or working with family members or working with friends. How do you bridge that gap and ensure that the relationships are not damaged by the stress that comes with owning a small business? So again, this is Mike, the business Mike came from. He had a partnership. He had a couple other partners, and that's a very unique experience as well too. I started another business with a good friend of mine about 8 years ago. We're no longer in business together. He's still doing great. He's out there running that business, but being in a partnership is very unique. It's a very unique experience, and it brings on a whole whole other set of issues that we're not even
Yep.
discussing here yet. So
Yep.
if you're in a partnership, you're part of a partnership, and you're a successful partnership, we'd love to hear how you
Love
make
to
it
hear
work.
that. Yeah.
Um,
Jay, hey, can I ask you? And maybe the camera's picking this up. You have a very unique lifetime event that happened to you that you could probably talk about too.
I
It's
mean,
pretty
well,
interesting.
let's just we'll keep it
Okay.
simple without getting into too many details.
Yeah.
I was 31 years old, so that was about 8 years ago, and I was involved in an accident when I was running my business, and this accident, forced me to take a step away from the business for about 2 months. I wasn't able to leave my house basically, and everything pretty much fell apart. I was working on multiple construction projects for a large developer, and a couple of these jobs fell apart. I ended up losing $250,000 that I didn't have at the time. We were operating basically on receivables, and I learned a lot of lessons. First and foremost is you got to have the right people in the right positions. I was the lead estimator, the lead project manager. I was taking the calls. I was working on the jobs, and I had other people doing other jobs. When I had to step back, they were forced to kind of take on a role that they'd never done before. And at the end of the day, the product was good, but when you actually get down to the specifics of the job, they weren't what they needed to be. I was exposed. I was signing contracts that were basically, exactly what were provided to me. I didn't have stipulations in there. I didn't understand what if this happens, what if that happens. So there's a lot of different things that I've learned here as a business owner. And so my goal ever since that has been to step back and create a business that can function without me if it has to. Now, I still play a huge role in my company, and I always will, but we're setting up a system that is scalable. And same thing with this podcast. Our goal is to set up a system with this podcast that basically runs itself. So even if I'm not on every single episode, or Mike's not on every single episode, can it still function? And so that's something that's very important for us.
Man, dude, hey, Jason's he's got the stories, guys, and just lock in with us, man. I got a lot to say too, and we're just super excited. And I hope you can feel that enthusiasm with us. I hope you can feel that through the camera. Again, we're only on an iPhone. I think it's a 10. We're not even up to date on the iPhone, but hey, it's okay, right?
There's two lenses on the camera. I don't know. I think they have 3 or 4.
Yeah. So, but we'll be okay. We got the smallest tripod. We're shooting a great video here, and hopefully you can hear us on audio. If you can give us any feedback on that. But again, I really think that this can be something outside of, yes, this is what it's called, but hopefully you can gain something from it. Give us your feedback, comment, like, share, talk to us about it. Jason, you got anything else to say today?
I think that's it. This is a good intro here. We're not even going to really call this the first episode. This is just our introduction into the Sprinkler Repair Pros podcast. We may shoot some other footage for you to attach with it as well, give you some other little snippets about ourselves, a little bit of one-on-one here, but let us know what you want to see. If you like it, tell us. If you don't like it, don't tell us.
I'm Mike.
I'm just joking. I'm Jason. Thank you.
That was better.
That was
That
good.
one was better. We're getting better, dude.
That was good.
We got to get the story. I was trying to get a little. How